Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Conversations. I hope you had a great time in the week that's gone by and you're looking forward to an exciting week ahead. Well, in the week that got just gone, we had Eid and it was really some great time. Um, and festival of any kind is really a great excuse to take a pause from your routine, reconnect with your roots, sit and relax with your family, with your loved ones, and then have some great quality time. At Techarc, we had one more great event to celebrate last week, which was we announced our first collaborative report with Track and Tech. Now, this report gives great and critical insights into what's going to happen with the smartphone industry for the second half of the year, which also is the festive period. Yes, I understand. If we look at very strict definition, then the festive season starts with the Shera and goes all up to New Year. But this second half of the year is all about festive season, and it's not wrong to call it the festive half of the year. So I'm sure many of you would have already gone through the report, would have read the report, and those who have not, I am just dropping a link in the description, and you can read the report. There's also a very descriptive format of the report which is available on request, so please reach out to us and we'll be happy to discuss further on that. Now my purpose of today's weekend conversation is not to highlight the insights that we get from this report specific to smartphone industry, but as I try during these weekend conversations, and I try to have candid conversation around something broader in outlook and broader perspective. This report, in many ways, uh, I don't have a better word, but exposes Make in India. You know, what it indicates that more than half of the potential buyers who were planning to buy during the festive season, planning to buy a smartphone during the festive season, are likely to now defer their decision if the prices of smartphone keep on increasing like this. Now, we all know why the prices are going up, because there is a memory issue across the industry in the supply chain, which is being consumed somewhere else. So, memory which was supposed or ideally would have got consumed in the smartphone industry is getting consumed in the AI infrastructure, and there the price points are great, and that's why there is this issue of unavailability or shortage of memory for smartphone industry, which of course is pushing up the prices. Now, that's not what I'm going to talk about here. The fundamental point here is that we need to now have a very honest look at Make in India and try to build and develop Make in India fundamentally. The superficial Make in India has to go now. We have to be honest to ourselves, try to look at what are we trying to achieve out of it, and build something which is very, very fundamental and important for all of us. The recent RBI report gives us very great insights into the patterns on balance of payments, and it shows that how much of dollar payments are flowing out, and we need to look at very serious fundamental interventions where we can arrest it considerably. See, I don't see, and I'm not probably in favor of that, or I don't really believe that you can make it zero. That those ideal states, those theoretical states, or those frame those ideal scenarios, I would say, only exist in books. In reality, things are of course different, but we have to attempt to minimize it. uh, we know oil, we cannot do much because it's a natural resource. It is produced in certain locations of the world, and we have to be dependent on it. Yes, we have to look at the alternate fuels, but by and large, the fossil fuels still remain the major um, input for energy consumption. So we'll continue to rely on importing it. Gold, yes, we could reduce its dependence. We could really bring it down, but somehow it's still it's deep ingrained in our culture. We still believe that gold is a very uh, credible, dependable investment, and we keep on investing in it. And hence, we keep on seeing how the demand for gold is always there, and we have to buy tons and tons of them every year. But yes, if there is I would say, social behavioral change, we could expect some savings over there. The third category is of electronics, and that is where very rightly, very strategically, Make in India program was conceived, was thought of, and going back to that 2008 famous report, which first identified that if we do not act on it, our import bills on electronics are going to exceed oil. We started, it's now more than 11 years of Make in India. There has been progress. We have to really, appreciate, and we have to really, you know, uh, uh, recognize the good things that have happened. But somewhere, unfortunately, we have done a lot of things superficially. It's not that we have spent less. We have spent a lot of money on Make in India. We have spent a lot of money on various, allied schemes. We have spent a lot of money on PLI. So I don't see that we have issue with money. We have issue, we have enough of money. But the issue is, I I would say, maybe with intent. We are not wanting to do things fundamentally, and we just want to do quick things, quick fixes, which then result in superficial outcomes. Somehow, if I look at even the electronics supply chain, we are trying to become jack of all. We try to focus on batteries, we try to focus on accessories, chargers, we try to focus on semiconductors, we try to focus on display. We try to do everything. And where are we today? We have progressed. Yes, we have progressed in all of them, I would say, at different levels, at different layers. But what is it translating it into in terms of domestic value addition? Minuscule, nominal. That is where the problem is. Instead of, I think, spreading into so many diverse uh, supply chain elements, should we not have just attempted one thing and done it very deep, very fundamental? Even if in terms of value, domestic value addition, that could have been just 5%, 6%, rather than 18-20% where we are right now. But we would have become really self-reliant on it, in it. And that is where I believe our approach to Make in India has to be a bit different. We cannot probably spread all across, because when we try to spread all across, despite of spending so much of money, we we do not really get deep into the supply chain. We have to look at various critical components, get deep into them one by one, have a program of, India had those 5 year plans, maybe have a plan of 5 years and go deep into one of those components, get it done, get it, done deep, get it fundamentally done, and then move on to probably the next component out there. That is how probably we should maybe have a roadmap towards Viksit Bharat 2047. And, over these next 20 years, if we have just 5 years for one, category or one component, uh, and that has to be a meta component across various electronics, give a 5 year capsule, and in these 20 years, we will at least have four significant components covered, covered deep, covered fundamentally. That's one of the approaches, I may be, there is no right and wrong. This is one of the submissions. This is one of the suggestions I have. But I think the time has come that we start thinking like this. Otherwise, we are seeing what's happening to even some of the very critical sectors, critical categories. I know smartphone is not essential per se, but it's like currency today. You can't do without it. This is where it's very important that we, start thinking uh, very seriously, very critically about how can we achieve it in a better way, in an impactful way, in something that really materializes and starts, building India's stature in the global value chain. That's what I have to share today with you. I hope you really enjoy this conversation. Share me your feedback and let's, work together to find out a solution how we can really progress in this direction and not have these scenarios where, more than 50% of potential buyers are thinking of not buying it, of thinking of deferring it because they feel they can't afford it. And rightly so, prices are going up. And this is not just one issue. The other issue is that we have still a lot of population which doesn't have access to a mobile phone or smartphone per se. Now, how are we going to enable smartphones at that fundamental price point, at that basic level? If this is the issue with our supply chain, it's completely, totally out of our control. So a lot of population still will remain out of smartphones and can probably never be brought into digital India programs. The great benefits that one could access by having access to digital. So we need to really think how we are going to approach to this, how Make in India can be done fundamentally, then superficially. That's what I had to share. I'd really love to have your views, have your conversation around, and thank you for your love and support. And let's keep the conversation on. I'll be back with you next week. Till then, enjoy your time.